Hey there, everybody. Can you hear me? We're here live on World of Antiquity. Going to be talking about the latest archaeological and ancient historical discoveries just from the last month. Stuff is happening all the time, and we're going to go over all the newest adventures that archaeologists have been having and historians. Last month, my audio was doubled up and it just sounded terrible. So I just want to ask you right now, how does my audio sound? I want to know right now. I don't want to find out at the end like I did last month. How does everything sound? My chat's over here. That's why I'm looking over here. Do I sound okay? Can you hear me? Yeah, people say yup. I guess that means good. Sounds good. Okay. Well, good to see all of you. We've got Beverly here, Jason, Steve, Albert, all in the chat. Incorruptus, MC, a bug and a flea. Brent Lee, you're here too. Glad to have you. All right, Ford's here. I'll be looking over this way. I've got a second monitor for the first time, and I'll be looking over there for the chat. If I'm looking that way, then you'll know why. And then right here in front of me, I've got all the latest news. For those who are interested in my travel series, I've got a new one coming out tomorrow. It's going to be on the ancient Sidditic people, who most people have never even heard of before. And we're going to be looking at the ancient cities of Sida. That's where you get Sidditic from. And the nearby city of Lirbe, way up in the mountains in a forest. Nobody ever goes there. Some great stuff. So that's coming out tomorrow. Stay tuned for that. And of course, if you are also interested in travel, some of you know this already, I'm taking a group to Egypt in November. Yeah, we're going to visit Upper Egypt. That's the southern part of Egypt. Upper's in the south. I know it seems kind of counterintuitive, but Upper Egypt is in the south. And we're going to be visiting all kinds of cool places there. And you can watch us film the Antiquities Travel Guide while we're there. And I'll be teaching the tour group all along the way, all about the Egyptian Empire. So if you're interested in that, I have a link for that below this video in the description box. So check that out. All right. Well, are you ready for the latest discoveries? Huh? Okay, let me share my screen. Here's our first one. Okay, from Egypt itself. All right. 4,300-year-old Egyptian tomb with stunning wall paintings was burial place of priestess and royal official. Yeah, 4,300 years ago. Do you know what part of Egyptian history that is? Anybody in the chat? Do you know? Huh? It's the Egyptian Old Kingdom. Yes, this is late 5th, early 6th dynasty, they say. And you can see a little bit of a wall painting right here. All right. Archaeologists have discovered this tomb with remarkable wall paintings. It's in Dashur. And in case you don't know, Dashur is a pyramid site. There are 2 pyramids there, the Red Pyramid and the Bent Pyramid. Actually, there's 3 pyramids. Actually, there might even be 4. There are 2 Middle Kingdom pyramids, I think, there as well. I went to Dashur, went in the Red Pyramid, went in the Bent Pyramid. You can see that in one of the travel guide episodes from last season. But this is where this tomb was found. Remember, these are necropolises. The pyramids, of course, are for the kings, but all around the pyramids, there are cemeteries. And that's what we're talking about. It's a mud brick tomb. We call those mastabas. Okay, they're rectangular. And if we want to see the outside, it's down here. So you can see the remains of it here. Actually, this is part of the inside because you're looking at the paintings there. So it's partly ruined. But imagine, 4,300 years old. That's a long time ago. And who did it belong to? They belonged to a man named Seneb-Neb-Af and his wife Edet. The inscriptions, yes, and there are inscriptions, state that Edet was a priestess of Hathor, a sky goddess associated with sensuality, maternity, and music, while Seneb-Neb-Af held several positions in the royal palace that involved dealing with the administration of tenants. Fun. So basically, he's probably a landlord. It's hard to know exactly what duties he had. The archaeologist working on it, Stephen Siedelmeyer, He's with the German Archaeological Institute, leading the excavations. A nearby town was controlled by the palace, and he may have decided who got to live there and been in charge of administering funds for the community. So, pretty cool. So that's one of the latest discoveries from Egypt. Let's see. Ford says 700 years after Narmer. Wild. Yes. Brent Lee guessed 4th dynasty. It was a little bit later, but you're in the right ballpark, Brent. Let's see. Ooh, he was a landlord. I have a question about language. Okay, this is a little off topic. What are the archaeological evidences of Sanskrit being 4,000 years old language? Or is it just agenda? Language history is done by linguistic historians, and it is combined with archaeology for sure. But because we cannot determine when a language first appeared by material remains, because language is spoken often for a long time without there being any writings. And if there are writings, there might not even be found, and it might be destroyed. So we usually go by reconstructed linguistics. So that's how Sanskrit, just like any other language, is dated. Roberta says, I've always dreamed of being an archaeologist. That's a great dream. Maybe you can still, who knows? Found Nordic aliens yet? No. How old is the Mastaba tomb at the Met? I'm not sure what one you're talking about. I'd have to look it up. I'm not sure. It probably says on the Met website. All right, let's look at another one, folks. A massive ancient Etruscan stone tomb hiding in plain sight is uncovered in Italy. Yeah, they were just cleaning up the brush, okay? And they're pulling away the trees and the brush and all of that, pulling it all away, cleaning up the area. And what do they find? A massive tomb. Look at it. Isn't that cool? It's huge. Yeah. So it was found in San Giuliano, rock necropolis. So it's already a necropolis. They already knew it was an archaeological site, but not all of the tombs have been discovered, right? It had 500 graves in that. It has 500 graves in that necropolis, and they range in date between the 7th and 3rd centuries BCE. Okay, it's in central Italy, about 45 miles northwest of Rome. And as a matter of fact, I might be going to Italy on an upcoming Antiquities travel guide. I might want to go check this out. So anyway, it came to light after some cleanup operations and the removal of overgrowth. Even now, it's only partially visible, but you can see some of the work that's being done here. The tomb is referred to as a semi-cube layout, in which one side is open and 3 sides are dug into a rock wall. It lies just next to the Queen's tomb, the largest in the necropolis. That one is from the 5th century BCE. I think they still have to date this one, but it's in that ballpark. And as you may know, the Etruscans were the people who were the powerhouse in central Italy before the rise of the Romans, while the Romans were there. Yeah, so that's another great discovery. Let's see. Edmund says, I desperately hope the Etruscan language can be fully deciphered someday. From what I understand, Edmund, it mostly is, I think. I think they've made leaps and bounds lately with Etruscan, and I have to double check on that. But I think, just like Mayan the Maya language is being deciphered now, and they're making huge strides. I think they have been doing that recently with Etruscan as well. Italy has so much brush and lush growth. That's true, Blonde and Bothered. What is the Western consensus for the length of Chinese history? Well, it's a little bit off topic. We'll get to China, by the way, coming up. But it goes all the way back to Neolithic times. So it depends on when you want to start history. Normally, history begins with writing. If you want to start it with writing, I think our earliest writings are from the Shang dynasty, which was the 2nd Chinese dynasty. Goes back about 3,500 years, I'm guessing, somewhere around there. Yeah. Kieran says, my point about Sanskrit was Prakrit inscriptions as old as 2,400 years are found, but hybrid Sanskrit, meaning half Sanskrit, half Prakrit inscriptions found that are 1,800 years old. Yeah, again, Kieran, my point was that inscriptions are kind of irrelevant to this. They tell us that it existed, but they don't tell us when it began to exist. Ford, Iraq would be great, but not sure on the logistics there. I want to go to Iraq, Ford. I really want to go. There are tour groups that go there from America from time to time, so it is possible. So I'm trying to work that out because nobody's going there right now and doing YouTube videos on it, right? So, is it true that Etruscan writing is similar to Scandinavian runes? I'm not sure about that one, Brent. Might be true. Stu says, were the Etruscans descendants of Minoans? There are all kinds of theories about where the Etruscans may have come from. And most of the theories I know that they came from the East. So, because we haven't deciphered Linear A, which is the Minoan language or writing, we can't know that. We cannot know it until we decipher Linear A. Once we do that, then maybe we can talk about whether it's related to Etruscan. Lord says, greetings. Hi there, Lord Anubis. Dudley says, knowledge is for all. Etruscans bred an 8 pigeon. Yeah. Rex says, this guy doesn't have the authority to speak on this topic. He's white. You mean about the Etruscans? I think somebody's trolling here. Edmund. Oh, that's excellent news. Anubis says, I appreciated your latest Randall Carlson video. Thank you very much. My debunking videos always get the most views. And it's kind of sad, but people love controversy, you know. When I don't talk about controversy, they're like, yeah, it's nice. Yeah. But that's how it is in the world today. All right, let's see. Jack says, saw Atlantis was discovered in New Mexico last month. Was there a story about that? I didn't see that one. I doubt it's Atlantis, of course. Do we know the timeline of when the Etruscans began to speak Latin? Well, when obviously when the Romans conquered the area, but I think even before that they would have spoken a lot to Latin people. So, like, there was no such thing as an official language really in ancient times. So when you live near other people, you have to be able to speak their language too. So the Etruscans were probably learning Latin pretty early on, even when they were dominating the Latins. As far as I know, the Etruscan writing system is related to the Phoenician and Greek systems. Yeah, as far as the alphabet, yeah. They say when in Rome, do as the Romans, but if you hack a goat apart to foretell the future, they don't let you back in the Colosseum. That's right, Jez. Okay. There's so many comments, I don't have time to talk about all of them. But, yeah, Tuscany is named after the Etruscans, Brent. That's right. All right, let's look at another one here. All right. I love it when inscriptions get found and deciphered, and that's what happened in this case. We've got a Hittite inscription, 3,300 years old. This little tiny tablet with lots of cuneiform on it. Yes, the Hittites wrote with cuneiform too. I mean, they have their own hieroglyphs, but they also wrote with cuneiform. Okay. And this was just found in May of 2023. Okay. A Japanese archaeologist named Kimiyoshi Matsumura, found it in the ruins of Buklakale. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Southeast of Ankara. It's funny, I was in that area in 2023, in June, a month later, but I didn't go to that site and didn't know about this tablet. But anyway, why am I bringing it up now if it was found in May 2023? Because now it has been officially translated. Okay. Mark Whedon translated it. He's a professor of ancient Middle Eastern languages at University College London. The first 6 lines of the text say that 4 cities, including the capital Hattusha, are in disaster. Now, what's interesting about that? Well, this is in the reign of Tudaliya IV, I believe. Does it say? think it says Tudela the Fourth, and he's the last one. Does it say Tudela the Fourth? Oh, the second. I'm sorry, Tudela the Second. Oh, okay. So it's before the Bronze Age collapse. Oh, okay. For some reason, I was remembering as Tudela the Fourth. He was the last, and that was the Bronze Age collapse. But this is before that, and already they're having trouble then from this tablet. You can see that when it talks about the four cities being invaded. So, but it is 200 years before the collapse, so you can't really attribute it to that time. That was when the Sea Peoples invaded the area. Yeah. And then a little bit of background here about the Hittites and how they vanished in the 12th century, but this is the 14th century. Okay. The tablet seems to come from a period of civil war, which we know about from other texts. So this is mentioned, the Civil War is mentioned in some other texts that we already have, but it adds some new information about what cities were in trouble. So I think the full translation might be on Mark Whedon's page. But anyway, we don't have time to go there right now because I didn't bother and I don't want to delay too much, but you can follow that up. I'll leave all the links to these discoveries below. Let's see what we got here with comments. UCL is the location of the Petrie Museum. That is right. Yes. I've been there. It's a great museum, little museum. Mainstream archaeology moves with the political climate. I know, right? You know, they find this tablet and all the politics of translating and everything. I think they threw some, climate change ideology in there, and they got something about getting vaccinated. You know, it's terrible. All right. There were no sea people. There weren't? Or you just mean at the time of this tablet? Bronze Age collapse is so interesting to me. Yes, it is a great, not a great time, an interesting time. Seems the Hittites were always a punching bag of their neighbors. Well, sometimes they were the punchers. Question about the Carlson video. If the capstones were covered with hieroglyphs, why didn't the capstones that were covered and preserved have any at all? Did he address that? Haha. Well, I think he said the whole pyramid was covered with hieroglyphs, but I suppose he's including the capstones. Oh, Luke Caverns is here, everybody. Hi, Luke. Billy Carson says Thoth built Egypt with the Olmecs. Oh, does he really? You can connect. I mean, yeah, you can make up your own fan fiction about ancient history, can't you? Death DEI all over. I know. That's what the joke I was going for, Bergs. I should have made a DEI joke. Yeah. They were invisible. They were the can't see people. Huh. Yes. Okay. Well, let's go on to the next one here. I know people who watch this not live later are like, will he hurry it up? I want to see all the discoveries. All right. Archaeologists find mysterious rock art likely made 2,000 years ago. Okay, mysterious rock art. Where is it? Okay, it's in Brazil. Okay, probably dates back to 2,000 years ago. A team with Brazil's National and Artistic Heritage Institute, IFAN, identified 16 archaeological sites in the Jalapao region. Is that how you say it? Which is in the center of the country. So the site features panels with rock art, which predominantly come in the form of engravings. And you can see some of them right here. Okay. Because of the technique and the themes represented, it is likely that paintings are older than the engravings and that they were made by another cultural group, but further research is needed. So this is early days. They don't have solid dates for everything and interpretations, but it is a new discovery that they're going to be studying. So I think that's pretty cool. Hi, doctor. What was it like going from computer science to archaeology? Oh, you know a little bit about my history, huh? Is history good or anthropology required? You don't need to take anthropology to take history. You do have to take anthropology to do archaeology. Um, I actually am not an archaeologist. Yeah, I do archaeology here because I'm an ancient historian, and ancient history is based on material remains, but I'm not an archaeologist myself. So I can tell you about all about ancient history, studying ancient history, which is mainly the study of ancient documents. But um, I know some archaeologists you can talk to. Well, I went from computer science because I hated it. I was thinking like, oh yeah, I like video games. Why wouldn't I want to do computers, right? Um, but I hated it. So then I thought, what do I like to do? I actually had another major before I went into history, and that was communications and media studies. I was going to be a filmmaker, but then I went to history because I thought it was a little bit more stable of a profession. Anyway, I've kind of combined my interests by doing videos, right? Now I do history and videos, so both of my interests are getting satisfied here. Incorruptus says, I love watching these live streams since people get to ask questions I did not come up with. Oh, I did not come up with yet. So it is still interesting to watch, Doctor. Thanks. I think, once a month is not overdoing it, right? Why would people prefer to watch some tinfoil conspiracy fantasy rather than just reading about the actual stuff? Baffles me. Because some people just think um, science fiction is more interesting than, reality. And then if they can think it's reality, then they get both, I guess. I don't know. It's different for everybody. Uh, let's see. Conspiracies galore today. It's sad. I haven't caught all of them, but I saw a couple here. What is the oldest ancient document we have, and where is it kept? Says A. Martin. The oldest document. Well, it's a kind of a slow progression, right? So where are you going to draw the line between what's a document and what's not a document? If something has a bunch of pictures on it that's telling a story, is that a document? Some people would say, yeah. Others say, no, it has to be writing. You have to write out sentences. So it's a little bit different depending on how you define it. I'm sorry I can't be a little bit more clear on that. But if you're just going by writing, like we're having sentences, we're writing out sentences, you're going to go to the time of the Sumerians. But I can't pick out a single oldest document because I think they just found a whole treasure trove of hundreds and hundreds of tablets that, we can't date precisely, so we don't know which one is the first one. Okay. Off topic, any book recommendations? Not the place for that right now. But you know what I might do on my live streams coming up is just to talk about what I'm reading lately. But I haven't actually been reading a new book lately. I've been reading a lot of articles, but not any books. So I'll keep that in mind, Anon, for a future live stream. Doc, what are your thoughts about Incas reaching the Atlantic Ocean through Brazil? I haven't heard about that one. Oh, you mean, in other words, they traveled through Brazil to get to the other coast? Is that what you mean? Um, I don't have any specific thoughts about that. But maybe you're referring to something specific that was brought up in the news or something? I'm not sure what you're referring to. Okay, so many comments here. Carvings were a form of documentation, so the oldest site with carvings or paintings. Well, then I guess you would go to the cave art, right? We're talking about Paleolithic period, which is way before the period I study. That's in the realm of prehistory. Does it annoy you that the History Channel has nothing to do with history anymore? It bugs me. Yeah, it bugs me too, but I guess it's the same as MTV not being about music anymore. They're going with what makes money. All right, let's look at another discovery here. Archaeologists in Panama find ancient tomb filled with gold treasure and sacrificial victims. Yeah. Researchers have uncovered an ancient lord's tomb filled with gold treasure. This is at an archaeological park in Panama. So it was already an archaeological park. They knew that there was stuff here, but not everything in the park has been uncovered, right? The tomb's estimated to be about 1,200 years old. Marks the area where an elite chief was buried, along with possibly dozens of people who died to accompany him to the beyond. Yes, sacrificial victims going along with him. They discovered gold treasures, including bracelets, 2 belts with gold beads, crocodile-shaped earrings, gold-covered sperm whale teeth earrings, and circular gold plates. Yeah, now there's some pictures down here. Look at some of the gold they found. Isn't that cool? So this is Dr. Julia Mayo, director of the foundation, leader of the project, said that in addition to the Lord, the tomb also contains up to 31 other people who were sacrificed to serve as companions. Speaking of which, I got a video coming up probably next week, probably next Sunday, I'm thinking, about the royal tombs of Ur and some of the sacrificial victims that were found there. So stay tuned for that one. Anyway, so hopefully we'll hear more about this tomb as they analyze the objects that they found, but that's a brand new discovery. Let's see. Thomas says, sperm whale teeth earrings is wild. It is. Mountain Nomad says, oof, sounds like early Egyptian dynastic pharaoh burials. Kinda. What is your favorite surprise ancient find? Asks Surrender Monkey. Surprise ancient find. Well, there's a few of those, right? The Dead Sea Scrolls is a good one. That one was unexpected. Love that one. What else? Some of the biggies. Yeah, I always love hearing about the ones where they're like, well, there were some Bedouins out in the desert and they were chasing after their goat or whatever, right? And lo and behold, they find something. I love those kinds of stories. More lately, we find things like, oh, there was a construction crew and they were going to build a new hotel and they started digging the foundation and they found an ancient whatever, and then the archaeologists had to come in. Yeah, that often happens, Very cool. Wish you could make more Myths of Archaeology and Ancient Mysteries videos. I can't get enough of them. Jack, the myths videos are so time-consuming to research because I want to make sure I get everything right. I don't want the worst feeling in the world is putting out a video, and this happens to me. I'll be like, "Oh, it's perfect. I have researched this for 2 months, and here we go." And then I get a comment the first day. What about this? I'm like, "Oh, I got that point wrong." It's not usually nothing big, but it still bothers me. I want everything, every last little detail to be correct. So that's why it takes so long. The mysteries videos don't take as long. And in fact, the Royal Tombs of Ur video that I was just talking about is going to be out next week, and that's a mysteries video. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Will we ever be able to decode the Indus Valley script? Asks Leon. I hope so, but we won't be able to do it unless we find a longer Indus Valley inscription. We need a long one if we're going to get any further on it. We really do. All right, let's look at another one here. 2,100-year-old inscription found in Turkey. Antiochus of Commagene calls on the people to obey and respect the law. So you can see this inscription here laying on the ground and the archaeologist looking over it. Okay. It was found near Kimildai. Kimildai? I think that's how it's pronounced. The G with the little thing over the top is practically silent. So anyway, he reigned from 69 to 34 BC. Okay. And it has a little bit of a history about Antiochus, but here's a close-up of the inscription. You can see not all of it is here. All right. And a lot of inscriptions are not the most exciting things in the world. They're just some kind of declaration, but I find them all exciting, but not everyone does. And it's basically just, that's about Mount Nimrud there, but it's basically just what it says about people obeying and respecting the law. It sounds like he's trying to keep people in line, and this is a friendly reminder that you better listen to me or else, okay? But that's kind of cool too. See what else we got here. Can you make a video on the lesser known civilizations like BMAC and Oxus? Oh, that's the same thing. Well, I can. Yeah, I can. In fact, I've been wanting to make an artifacts video about one of the cool artifacts from the Oxus civilization. That's one coming down the pipe. But yes, I can do more for sure. I would love to see a collab between Craigenford and yourself on something about myths someday. Who's Craigenford? Uh, what's the name of the channel? Is that the name of the channel? Yeah, if you tell me the name of the channel, I might recognize it. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, the P. Bureau Roads about and the campaigning of Alexo Garcia being the first contact between the Incas and the Europeans is something I wasn't aware. Okay. The thing about the Inca is they're not in my area of history, so I'm not a specialist. I don't know a lot. But it does overlap a little bit because there are people who take Inca architecture and then say it's like thousands of years older, and then it does apply to me. So sometimes I do have to address Inca things, but normally I'm not really an Inca expert. Okay, lots of comments here. Have you completely given up on the possibility of a lost ancient civilization, and or would you ever consider debating Graham Hancock? Two questions there. Second one first. Not only have I considered debating Graham Hancock, he once challenged me to a debate, and I accepted, but he also challenged Flint Dibble, and Flint Dibble accepted, and turns out he wants to go with Flint because Flint's an archaeologist and I'm not. So anyway, but in the future, I would love to debate him, and I've told him as much. And as far as the lost advanced civilization, anything's possible, but all the evidence seems to point away from it. However, I said this in one of my videos, if you kind of make expectations lower, right? Oh, will we ever find an advanced city that's older than any advanced city that we knew about before? That I'm completely open to. But a globe-spanning civilization that has all these qualities that the Atlantis people are talking about, highly unlikely. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that is his name, Craigenford. Oh, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but I don't know about him, Dully. I'll have to check it out. Has Erdogan's Turkey become more or less friendly towards archaeological research? They're still very friendly towards archaeological research. As far as was able to see going through Turkey, they really put money into their sites. Not all of them, but they do want tourists coming there, and they put money into a lot of their archaeological sites, especially the big ones. So Hattusha, Ephesus, those places, they pour a lot of money into them. So I think they're favorable, and I keep seeing news coming out of Turkey about new finds. So people are working there and new things are being found all the time. So I think it's pretty good in that regard. A lost city-state is more reasonable than a global empire. That's true. Just wanted to thank you. I used to put on some ancient advanced civilizations, Atlantis, aliens, for background entertainment, but you made me see how interesting actual archaeology is. Well, that's what I'm trying to do, is make the stuff that everyone else thinks is boring not so boring, I hope. And that's why I do these monthly archaeology finds videos, because I want people to see that it's cool, it's exciting, but also that new things are being found all the time, and our narrative of history is being constantly updated. Constantly. All right, let's look at another one that we can update ourselves on. Pyramidal structures. Ooh, uncovered at Los Teteles de Avila Castillo. So archaeologists from the INAH, this is in Mexico, okay, found some pyramids. Now you're looking at this and you're saying, they're not in the best shape. No, they're not in the best shape, okay? But it's still an exciting discovery, okay? It's in the Mexico state of Puebla. The site is more than 3,000 years old, dates from the late Middle Formative period, 600 BC. So this is pretty old, okay? This is pre-Mayan civilization, all right? So you can see a little bit here. Now, this is a smaller pyramid. It's not huge or anything. And we're using the word pyramid very loosely, okay? In fact, I've been trying to get away from this, but people call anything a pyramid that's like bigger on the bottom and smaller on the top. Doesn't have to be in a perfect square, doesn't have to be smooth-sided, could be steps, They call them all pyramids. Okay, so they found a building, okay, that's bigger on the bottom and smaller on the top is basically what we're talking about here. But it may have served as an astronomical observatory to record the agricultural cycle. And why do they think that? Because the entire urban complex appears to be aligned with mountain ranges from the surrounding landscape. The largest structure also has an alignment with Canopus, the brightest star in the southern constellation of Carina. Yeah. So now these excavations were done because of erosion, and they were worried about the structures being lost, so they had to get to it. But anyway, some new pyramids. Yeah. Maybe they're from Atlantis. All we have to do is add 10,000 years, well, 11,000 years to the date, and then they'll be from Atlantis, okay? And you might think, well, that's a stretch. And it is, but people do that all the time. Okay. Sorry if I'm not responding to all of your comments. There's just too many. Let's go on to the next one. Missing houses offer a new perspective on Britain's Roman period. What's this all about? Now, this is a study of archaeological sites more than an archaeological discovery itself. But there was a population estimate done, okay, in Silchester, England. All right. And they're thinking it's a typical Roman Empire town, okay? And basically, the site, it's been around a long time. It's been there since the late 19th, early 20th century. I mean, that they found it, okay? But now you can study things that were discovered that long ago and learn new things. So the popular estimates of the population suggested around 4,000 people. But this new study, done by the University of Colorado Boulder, says 5,500 people. Okay, so a much bigger city. If you want to call 5,500 a city, I guess you could call it a town. Bigger than a village, though, I would say. So it has implications, right? Because the way that everyone thought about Britain, okay, is that when the Romans came, they civilized everybody. That was kind of the old idea, right? They come into Britain, they're a bunch of barbarians, and they're going to civilize everybody. But now, when you're finding places that are quite large like this, okay, even before Roman occupation, this tells you a little bit about something about Britain, what it was like before the Romans started civilizing them, right? Anyway, you can read more about it here. It's quite long, but it's definitely opened our eyes as far as what Britain was like outside, and before Roman control. Okay. Do you give any legitimacy to astroarchaeology? Do you mean archaeoastronomy, Brent? You talking about archaeoastronomy? Which is the study of how the ancients looked at the stars and all of that. There is some legitimacy to that. It's a real field, but a lot of people abuse it. And we could that's a whole other video, but we could go into how they abuse it. But people use it to try to prove all kinds of strange things. It's got to be done with the right methods, Jez says, I've excavated Roman forts here in the UK. We find them in layers of occupation, some stone, some wood. They blatantly build more in wood. Yeah. Oh, that must have been fun, huh? I've never actually engaged in a dig. It would be fun to do. What exactly would be defined as antiquity? How old does something have to be to fit into that category? For instance, I would think the Dark Ages wouldn't be, while the Roman Empire would. You're right. You're right. So antiquity, ancient times, whatever you want to call it, usually extends from the beginning of history, which is writing. Okay, so the first appearance of writing in the world. So you're talking about 3,500, maybe you can push it to 4,000 BCE, until In the West, it would be the fall of Rome. Like uh, 400s, 500s, sometimes 600, up to 600. And in most places, it's kind of like that too. But in the Americas, they usually have ancient times extend to like 900, something like that. That's the end of the classic period. So that's kind of the area that we're talking about. Okay, lots of comments. Archaeologists have been ignoring literary evidence from the Romans about Britain for ages. Well, the historians wouldn't. Maybe they just need to talk more about it, but I'm not sure what the archaeologists are aware of or not. Vindolanda, yes, Mountain Nomad. I've been to Vindolanda and Hadrian's Wall. Got an episode on it. Fantastic place. Vindolanda was my favorite archaeological site in Britain that I've seen so far, anyway. Alex says, hello, Dr. Miano. You are one of my favorite YouTube channels. Have you heard of the out-of-place artifact Baghdad battery? I've never found a good explanation for it. I'd love a video on it. Alex, I was about to do a Baghdad battery video when two other people came out with Baghdad battery videos that did it really well. Mini Minuteman did one, and then an archaeologist did one. Can't remember his name now. I'll have to find a link for you. But full discussion of it. So then I'm thinking like, oh, it's kind of already been said. But maybe when they get a little old, I'll do my own. But there's some good stuff there. Okay. Let's look at another one. I know I'm missing comments, but... Okay. Archaeologists find cemetery and cultural objects from the Warring States period. This is in China, everybody. It's in the province of Hubei, okay, at a place called Xiangyang, okay. The Warring States period, as you may know, is from about 475 to 221 BCE, and this was when China was disunited and everybody was fighting with each other, all kinds of wars going on. They end with the creation of the first empire, which the Qin dynasty created. But yeah, so the cemetery here has 176 tombs that have been uncovered, and 174 of them are from the Warring States period. A member of the excavation team explained that most of the tombs are modest in size, while 9 are medium-sized tombs with sloping passages. And you can see some of the tombs right here. And yes, what you're seeing over here are horses. Yeah, so there's a bunch of new things that are being pulled out of this. Now, I don't know exactly everything, but you can see there's some swords. Okay, every time you find new things like this, the objects come in, but then they have to be analyzed. So more information will be forthcoming, but the discovery of the cemetery is fascinating. Okay, let's look at another one. I've got 3 articles here on underwater discoveries, just in case people are saying, hey, archaeologists need to do more underwater. Oh, well, they do underwater. So here we have a piece of an ancient ship, part of a mast. They found a couple of ship's masts, okay? The archaeologists are from the University of Ljubljana. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. And now this is, of course, they've been doing this for a number of years, I think 7 years, but they just finished and now they're doing their reports on what they found. This is at the site of Fezina, I think that's how to say it, in Slovenia on the Adriatic coast, okay? And this is from Roman times, but they found some parts of these ships, including 2 huge masts. Yeah. 3,000 fragments, more than them, of imported amphoras, kitchen and fine tableware from the late antiquity period. Okay. 250 to 750 are the years. So you can see some of them here with Latin inscriptions. A lot of them are broken. Here's part of the fir tree mast, which has a pulley that was built into it. Tells you a little bit about the technology. There they are in the water. But you can read about that. And then we have this one, 2,400-year-old artifacts discovered in the Black Sea's first scientific underwater excavation. This is in the Black Sea, everybody. And they found artifacts dating between the 4th century BC and the 12th century AD. So this is um, a huge amount of material from a long period of time, both ancient and up to through medieval times, at a site that in ancient times was known as Calpe. Look at it, which means pot, jug, jug, jug. No, it means pot or jug. I don't know what's going on with this. Okay. Um, this must be translated from another language. Yeah. Because why didn't they just say Greek? Well, anyway, so you can see some of the things they found underwater here. They found the remains of the pier from the ancient harbor. Really cool. This is like a vacuuming thing that's pulling away the dirt. So yeah, all kinds of interesting finds. Lots of them. Now this is from ships that sank or stuff was thrown overboard or whatever. They lost material, but this is all near that harbor. So the fact that it's in a harbor means they probably didn't sink, but they things got lost over the side, I guess, at various points in time. And then the third underwater one is this one. Archaeological research in the Khasos Strait ends with 10 ancient shipwrecks and finds from prehistoric to Ottoman periods. So this is across a long period of time as well. You can see a lot of the same stuff here. But this is in the area of Khasos. So they finished in 2023. They started in 2019, and they're now reporting on what they found. Okay. They found 10 shipwrecks. Okay. Dating back to prehistory, 3000 BC, the classical period, the Hellenistic period, the Roman period, the Byzantine period, and medieval and Ottoman periods. So look at this, an anchor. I think this is from later times, though. So you can check out all the pictures here. Many of these are ancient. All kinds of great stuff. Huh? What do you think? Let's see. Have they figured out exactly what Greek fire was yet? I should. Oh, that would be a good mysteries video, wouldn't it, Stu? I should do a mysteries video on Greek fire. It's a good idea. How are history theories that are derived from ancient texts and archaeological finds tested empirically? Asks Shrek. It depends on what it is, right? So, for example, if you want to find out the date of something, there are scientific dating methods, right? But if it's just a text and it's saying something happened, right? How do you tell if it's true or not? Well, that's where the historical method comes into play. It's not empirical testing, but it is using a methodology to be able to sift fact from fiction. But there is a bit of wiggle room. This is why history and archaeology are more difficult than like a hard science. With a hard science, a lot of things you can just test it and then you have your answer. It's easier. There's more guesswork, right? But you do everything that you can to test it empirically. And then that's why history doesn't speak of certainties. History speaks of probabilities, right? What is the most likely thing to have occurred based on the evidence that we have? But it always comes out of the evidence. If it's speculative, if there's speculation, the historian says, I'm just speculating. But evidence is what determines what we say, right? We have to have the evidence before we can draw any conclusions. Okay, let's look at another one here. Newly discovered 2 fortress settlements and a new type of open-air temple in eastern Anatolia region of Turkey. So we have more stuff from Turkey, okay? So fortress settlements mean there was a fort and then there was a settlement around the fort, right? And then 2 open-air temples. So this is in the Tunceli province. Yes, in Turkish, the C is pronounced like a J. In eastern Anatolia. Can't see a whole lot there from the picture. And let's see what we got here. Oh, look at this. We've got some writing on the wall. That looks like cuneiform to me. Professor Serkan Erdogan noted that one of the newly discovered castle settlements is located in the easternmost part of today's Tunceli provincial borders, and the other is almost in the western part. One was named Masumu Pak Fortress, and the other was Ashai Harik. Yeah, so you can see a bit of it here. So they have parts of the fort from different periods, but the Iron Age is what we'd be interested in, right? So they've got parts of it from the Iron Age. This is what the terrain looks like. They were built 9th to 8th century. Wait a minute. They were built in a period of 7 centuries, 9 to 8 centuries. This is clearly translated from another language, okay? I don't think it's a period of, I think it means between the 9th and 8th or 9th and 7th centuries BCE, but this is a period of Urartu. So Urartu is a very interesting culture. Look at this. Very cool. All right. So anyway, you can read up on that too. Jen says, that's amazing. Albert says, put 10 people in a room with samples from ancient Greek and someone will figure out Greek fire. May not be correct, but it makes it probable. Maybe. Anatolia has such an insanely rich variety of archaeological sites across so many periods. It does. It really does. Ron says, Doctor, what's your opinion on why the Antikythera mechanism is the only one of its type found? Was the maker trying to keep it a secret from other groups? Well, we may in the future find a whole bunch of them. Who knows? But my guess now is that it was experimental. And so someone had invented this. Some people thought it was maybe a novelty. It didn't catch on. It doesn't look like it caught on, right? So they probably thought, oh, this is kind of a cool contraption, and maybe there wasn't enough interest in it to fund making more of them or something like that. But seems to have been a novelty item and not in wide usage. Shipwrecks are fascinating. If the sarcophagus of Menkaure were recovered, could it still go to the British Museum? I think there'd be a fight about that. But wouldn't it be great if they found it? It's under there somewhere. I mean, I doubt it's destroyed, right? His sarcophagus fell in the Mediterranean. It's down there, but no one's found it yet. Okay, let's look at another one here. Traces of Roman fort found in Aachen. Yes. This is in Germany. Aachen was a site that existed in Roman times. It was called Aquagrani, first settled in the 1st century. Okay, so they thought it had a Roman fort. They suspected that one was there, but they didn't confirm it until excavations. Now this is interesting. Why is this being announced now if they had knowledge of it between 2011 and 2014? Maybe they found more of it. Yeah, I think they found more of it. Further evidence of the fort has recently been uncovered. Yeah. Housing utility pipes, revealing traces of 7-meter stone wall. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So here's a drawing of where the wall, this is where the street is today and the buildings are today, but this is where the fort wall was in the city. So that's pretty cool. So you can read up more on that. And then, this is a Parthian discovery. I don't know if you know much about the Parthians, everybody. The Parthians are the arch enemies of the Romans in the Roman Empire period. They were to the east. Archaeological excavations in Iraqi Kurdistan point to a place of worship for the water goddess Anahita. So this is a Parthian water goddess. Now, from what I read here, they're not 100% positive it was dedicated to Anahita, but they think it could be because it's near a natural waterfall. Okay, makes sense. All right. Dr. Michael Brown is the one working on it here, but you can see some pictures of the fort. So what time period? This is the time period is I think it's the 3rd century. Where's the date here? Oh, it doesn't have a date. Oh, okay. Dated to 2nd to 1st century BC. Oh, wait. That's not the... Oh, I guess it is older than I thought. Okay. I thought it was from the CE period, but it's from the second to first century BC. So pretty cool. There isn't a whole lot to look at as far as pictures go just yet, but now that they've found it, they're gonna find more stuff. So that's over there in Iraq. Okay. Let's see. Were Parthians Zoroastrian followers? Yes. They were Zoroastrians. At least most of them were. Doctor, how do you realize that ancient history was what you wanted to specialize in? Asks Amlan. Well, I went back to school after quitting computer science and then quitting communications. I went back for history, and I was just going to do high school social studies, you know, just teach high school and, nice stable job. But the more classes I took on ancient history, the more I liked it, right? Because everybody knows everything. Well, not everything, but I mean, when you're talking about like European history or American history, everything's been done to death. There's hardly any new things that are being found. It's really hard to find new things, right? And you've got a lot of documentation. But ancient times, there are so many open questions, right? Not as much documentation, more room for speculation. A lot of people think that I'm just a by the books kind of guy. All through school, I was the guy that questioned everything. Hey, how about we look at it this different way? I loved thinking outside the box. I still do. Um, just because I critique people who are way out there doesn't mean that I don't think outside the box. Okay. Anyway, so I loved ancient history better, and I just decided I want to keep doing that. And then I just kept going. Got my BA. Then I said, hey, how about a master's? How about a PhD? I just went all the way. So that's why, yeah. It's hard for me to consider a civilization that advanced if they didn't have mass production in relation to Baghdad battery Antikythera mechanism. Well, they did have mass production, but I don't know if does the Antikythera mechanism show evidence of mass production? It might just be handmade, I don't know. All right, let's look at another one. Ancient warehouse, first Roman city outside Italy, discovered in France. See it. Oh yeah, this is the first Roman city that was discovered outside Italy a while ago. Okay, in France. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. No. I read that wrong. This is the first Roman colony established outside of Italy in ancient times. Okay, in ancient times they settled it. It's the first one outside of Italy. Okay. And it's a place called Colonia Narbo Martius, founded in 118 BC. Okay, pretty cool. This says expansion of the Roman Empire, but this is before the Roman Empire. This is the Roman Republic. Okay, yes, they were building an empire, but it's still the Roman Republic. Yeah. Urbanized around the year 50. Okay. But they found some more stuff. Okay, so they've been excavating there. Found, I think. Wait a minute. Okay, I'm not sure about this. I got the impression when I first read this that they had not found this colony yet, and this was the first discovery of the colony. Now I'm not so sure that maybe they already knew it was there and they just found more things. But anyway, you can see all the photos of what they discovered there, including some art. But it doesn't really say in this article whether it had already been found. So I'm not sure. But the discoveries here are new. These discoveries that you see in the pictures are new. Yeah. All right. Did any other civilizations of antiquity document their affairs to the extent that the Romans did? Well, yeah. I mean, I guess, yeah, I think they did. China certainly did. India did. But we just been lucky having a lot of copies made and artifacts found from Rome. Keep in mind that in the early days of archaeology, Rome was like one of the main focuses, They loved Rome. They wanted to learn all about Rome. So a lot of work was done in the early days of archaeology on Rome, and that helps a lot. But I think the reason why we have most of these documents is just because they've been copied. For example, we don't have the originals of anything. And when you talk about like books written by Romans, books written by Greeks, no one found the originals. No one even found necessarily ancient manuscripts, although we have fragments here and there. It's because they were copied and copied and copied and copied and copied over hundreds of years. And Europeans and also Byzantines and Muslims, they all copied a lot of these works. And that's why we have them. Yeah. All right, here's another one. Archaeologists unearthed Kushan-era relics in Joppa. Is that how you pronounce it, Joppa? Yeah, a 2,000-year-old palace and fort belonging to a Kushan ruler. I don't know if you know about the Kushan Empire, but it existed in what is now northwestern India, Pakistan, I think a bit of Afghanistan. Okay, that's where the Kushan Empire was. And so we have some remnants here. 2,000 years old. That's right in their heyday. Okay. Yeah, there's sufficient evidence to suggest the existence of a palace and fortress belonging to a Kushan ruler. They don't know who yet, but hopefully they will find something that will tell them who it is. So that's pretty interesting as well. How about this one? You may have heard about this one. The missing half of a colossal Ramses II statue has been found. The other half was discovered in the same area almost a century ago. When I was looking at this, none of the articles had the other half, but I know there is another half. If I had more time, I would have went and got it for you. But yeah, so a long time ago, they found the bottom part of this statue, and they always wondered, where's the other part? Maybe it was destroyed, but now they found the other half. Well, it's not all of it, is it? But they found a large portion of it. So hopefully they'll put it back together like Humpty Dumpty. Okay. Discovered in the south of Egypt. This was discovered by the University of Colorado and the Egyptian Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities. It's over 12 feet tall. I think it's just this section that's over 12 feet tall, not the whole statue. Yeah. The lower half was discovered in 1930 in the same area. So it's really great. This is just showing you a temple of Ramses. So I'll be looking forward to that being put back together. How do you lose half a statue? Well, the whole thing was buried, Thomas. And they just, as they were digging, they found one half. But I guess it wasn't that close to the other half. I'm not sure why they didn't see it right away. But Kushans are Kushites from Kemet. I don't think so, Kasturi. I don't think so. I think that's just a coincidence that they sound the same. I'm pretty sure they came from East Asia. Yeah. Although they were a cosmopolitan group, but a large portion of them came from East Asia. Copper Age necropolis unearthed in Italy contains skeletal remains and still sharp weapons. Maybe from ancient warriors. Well, of course they're going to. If you have sharp weapons, of course they're from warriors, right? All right. So Copper Age. This is pretty far back. 5,000 years old. Okay. And it was made in November at San Giorgio Bigarello. But it was announced this month. Well, actually at the end of February. So, yeah. So they found some tombs here. They have all kinds of weapons, including daggers, arrowheads, blades. Yeah. All right. Here's another one. Bar Kokhba Revolt-era hiding complex revealed near Sea of Galilee. So, apparently there's this dugout area under the ground that was a hiding place. Now, it had been used even way, way back before the Bar Kokhba Revolt, but it's the most famous from the Bar Kokhba Revolt. And if you're wondering what this revolt is all about, everybody, it's this is in the 2nd century. This is in the 130s, I believe, of the Common Era, when there was a second rebellion against the Romans. Everybody all knows about the first rebellion against the Romans. in the 60s. Okay, but in the 130s there was another rebellion. Bar Kokhba was the name of the guy who led the revolt. He proclaimed to be a messiah, and they lost, of course, to the Romans again. But this was a place that they used for hiding. It's a place called Hukok, an ancient Jewish village, 12 and a half kilometers north of Tiberias. There's a video here. You can watch some of the imagery from the dig. Okay, but it's very interesting that they found the tunnels. You can see the part of the outside of it here. Yeah, and there's also a town nearby. So there's all kinds of excavations that are going on there. So that's another cool discovery. Doctor, do you think we might rediscover a new way of recording information like the knot and string records of Southern America? Well, I mean, computer language is, I guess, a new way. Binary? I don't know. Yeah, we probably will. I mean, why not? Right? This seems to work really well, but there may be other ways. I know more about the past than I know about the future, Dully. How do they? Oh, Hadrian ended it. Yeah, Hadrian ended the war. Yeah, they spit on the ground if you mention his name in Jerusalem. Yes. After that, by the way, after this revolt, Jews were banned from Jerusalem. They renamed the city Aelia Capitolina instead, and they renamed Judea Palestina, named after the ancient enemies of the Israelites, the Philistines. Even though the Philistines probably weren't really there anymore, but it was all to stick it to them. Yeah, so that changed everything after this revolt. Okay. Lost tombs and quarries rediscovered on British military base in Cyprus. So this is interesting. Cyprus is an island in the Mediterranean, as you may know. And before the war, I think this is before World War II. Was it World War II? I think it's World War II. There were a bunch of archaeological sites, tombs, I should mention, tombs and quarries, ancient tombs and quarries that were discovered on Cyprus. But then the British built the military base right on top of it. And everyone just said, all that stuff was lost. But turns out it wasn't all lost. They've gone back to the place. Now the British aren't there anymore. And they found a lot of the stuff again. Not all of it, but some of it. I think they found, 51 sites, including 5 historic buildings were located. Some records survived for 47 of the sites, but a further 4 were known only from labels. Although the dating of most of the sites is currently unknown, they're likely to span from the Bronze Age, which started about 2500 BC, to the Byzantine period, which ended in the 12th century. It includes sites from the Hellenistic and Roman periods. So here you can see where they are. So that's good news. Very good news. All right. I've got 4 more. And these are a little bit more minor. But anyway, archaeologists find Pompeii fresco depicting Greek mythological siblings. So here you can see part of the fresco. This is from Pompeii. You might think like, oh, didn't they already excavate Pompeii? They're still working on Pompeii. They're still finding things in Pompeii. And here you can see a wider shot. Part of the fresco here depicting, this is Phrixus and Hele. Well, actually, you're looking at Phrixus. Where's Hele? I think it must be another part, but they're not showing it. But anyway, so that was found at Pompeii. I thought that was really neat. And this also is from Pompeii. Excavation reveals ancient Roman construction techniques. Okay, so some more stuff they're digging out of Pompeii. They found, what did they find? A Roman construction site. In other words, there were construction workers that were working when the volcano erupted. And so it shows a building in the process of being made. And that's the cool thing about it. It was frozen in time when they were making this building. And by studying it, we can learn about how the Romans made buildings. Isn't that cool? Look at, you can see some of the tiles here just laying here, get ready to be laid, right? But they got the tiles, the Romans had the tiles there ready to go into place, but they weren't yet put into place. So this is really neat. Even some paintings here. And that's a reconstruction of part of the wall. But yeah, so another fascinating discovery. Have they ever found any Christian iconography in Pompeii? I think they have, Brent, but I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think they may have. Not much, though. All right, so let's look at two more. Lost building discovered in Sicily's ancient Valley of the Temples. So here we have, this is a place called Agrigento, I think that's how you say it. And it's Akragos was what it was called back in the day. It was a Greek colony settled in the 6th century BCE. All right. And they found a new monument there. Okay. It's already an archaeological site. People already go to visit it, but there's still work being done there. And they found another building. So that's interesting. And then the last one is they found a Roman villa in Britain. So this was, we were talking about this before. There was a housing development being put in there, and they started laying foundations, and they found, oh, there's some Roman stuff under here. So the archaeologists came in, and they found all kinds of stuff from this house, a villa, more than just a house, from the first, it seems to date from the late 1st century. Okay. Oh, you can see some remains here on the wall, and a bit of its layout right there. So still some things to be found. Not a whole lot there, but I thought it was worth mentioning. So that, everybody, is our ancient discoveries for the month of March. I hope you enjoyed it. I did. I love looking these things up and finding them for you. You got to have somebody to curate them because they're all over the internet, you know. Yeah, it's really nice to know some of the things that are going on. And then in future episodes, we can look back on some of these discoveries. Or remember when that happened? Well, they found another thing there, or they analyzed an artifact there and they found this. So you can keep up on all of that. Andrew says Pompeii had one of the oldest depictions of the Cairo. Yeah, there you go. That's an example. Anyway, I appreciate you staying with me all this way, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. Some of you came in late and go back and watch the whole thing later if you want, but I appreciate it. One last thing I want to mention, two things. One is I offer classes now, and I have a link below the video. My new class coming up in a few weeks, I think it starts in May actually. It's called Rise of the Romans, and it's all about how the Romans got started, the Republic period. This is before the dark times, before the empire, when the Romans built their civilization. It's all about that. If you're interested in that, go check it out. Of course, I mentioned before I'm taking a tour group to Egypt. That might also interest you too. And then lastly, if you just want to help out the channel and help support it, you can do that with a super thanks right now. Or you can go over to my Patreon page, patreon.com/world of antiquity, to help support the channel over there on a more regular basis. But thank you for coming, and I guess we'll see you all next month. So see you later, everybody.